Hello, everybody. I'm John Gapper. I'm what's known as a veteran journalist. I've been listening throughout this conference to Ahmad boasting about his 30-year career in news. Well, I've worked for the Financial Times for 38 years, and before that, I did a stint in various places, including the Daily Mail in Manchester, with Helen Scott, the unsung but brilliant producer of this very event. So, Kamal, mate, you've only just got started. But that's beside the point. Adolescence, a gripping social drama about a 13-year-old in West Yorkshire who kills a classmate that won its stars Emmys. Rivals, a classic romp by the quintessential English bonkbuster writer Jilly Cooper. Classic water cooler fare, to use an Americanism from the 1840s, or in the language of the RTS, shared cultural moments. But they weren't made by British public service broadcasters. They were made by companies represented on this panel today. We have senior executives of 3 US television giants, if you count Comcast's ownership of Sky. They're producing amazing and amazingly expensive scripted drama, including Sky's Day of the Jackal. It's great for British viewers, but is it great for the industry? A question that's been asked repeatedly throughout this event. Louisa Compton of Channel 4 recently argued that it nurtures British production and the British talent in a way that streamers don't. And it referred to Netflix, she referred to Netflix as a TV tourist. So I'll start by asking Anna Mallett of Netflix. Anna, are you a tourist?
We're not a tourist. Adolescence, I think, is a great example of our strategy, which is to make local UK content for local UK audiences. And it's fantastic that it's resonated globally, but we're absolutely focused on the audience here. And, you know, Netflix has been operating in the UK for 15 years. Over the last 4 years, we've invested $6 billion. We've worked with 200 production companies, thousands and thousands of cast and crew. So we see ourselves very much as part of the ecosystem focused on audiences. And the last thing I'll say is we do see this as a virtuous circle creatively. So if Jack Thorne and Owen Cooper and Walt Productions, which are based in Sheffield, have a success, I think that's great for everyone in our industry. We should all be proud of that. And we see creative talent going between all our organisations. So Ncuti Gatwa obviously started on Sex Education and went on to be Doctor Who. And so I do see this as growing the creative pie, which is good for everyone.
But you talked about making adolescence for a British audience.
Yeah.
You can't think, oh, well, it will be just good enough if it reaches a British audience, can you? You must have, Netflix must always think, well, could this also reach to other audiences, other parts of the world? Otherwise, the economics don't work, surely.
No, we absolutely are focused on local audiences first. Not just in the UK, we've got teams in Italy and Spain and France, and the objective is to serve local audiences. And the truth is, if you do that authentically, there are stories that will travel. And I think it's really, really hard to commission for a global audience. I think it's about that authentic local storytelling which resonates, you know, in the UK. And if they go on to be successful elsewhere, fantastic. But that's not where we start.
And shouldn't the BBC be commissioning a show like Adolescence?
Look, I think everyone makes choices about what they want to commission. But I always think of the counterfactual, and the counterfactual would be that only the PSBs could create this type of content. I don't think that's good for competition, for innovation, for creativity. And I think having different companies in different parts of this ecosystem all investing and telling stories can only be good for everyone.
Deborah, Rivals. Very amusing, very funny, very British. How come Disney's making it, and what is the point of it for Disney?
It's amazing. Look, first up, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to be talking about Rivals. I hope you all love it. I know you do. I love it, and I love it because it's the biggest UK show that we've done. It's brilliant. And kudos to our team that made it, but also kudos to ITV Studios, Happy Prince, Dominic Treadwell-Collins, who's making the show for us. It's amazing. And yeah, it works for us. Do you know why? Because it's broad, it's buzzy, it's part of the cultural zeitgeist that you talked about. And that brings subscribers to the platform and it keeps them on the platforms, which is great. But I'm going to say a lot of things now that Anna kind of alluded to. It's part of a much bigger story. You know, Disney's been producing content in the UK for 75 years, okay? And in the past 5 years alone, we've invested more than £4 billion, which has directly supported 40,000 jobs, whether that be on our feature films, lots of our TV shows, which include 23 for Disney+, but also 130 brilliant shows for National Geographic, a lot of them made out of Bristol. So we're thrilled with that. So it does support our strategy. And to Anna's point, it's made for our audience and here in the UK. And if it travels, great. But principally, it's made for everyone here.
Did it travel? Has it traveled?
We are very super happy with it. That's why we're making series 2, which I know everyone can't wait for. Yeah, but I mean, the point is it worked here and it worked here big, which we love. And it's a broad show. And Disney is a broad service, so we love it.
I loved it as well.
Everybody loved it.
Loved Ginny Cooper.
We all loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Love Ginny
And we'll love the second series. But one of the issues that we've heard about over the last couple of days is it's expensive to make some of these productions. It was very expensive to make Adolescence. Scripted drama is very expensive. And we heard about public service broadcasters. It's quite hard to make some of these shows at the production level, never mind a series like Shogun. The economics don't seem to be working in their favor. So, I mean, how much does it depend on the global resources, having the global resources and having the global reach that you guys have?
Look, I think we're very proud of our investment in the UK, and as I say, it's very UK focused. And what I'd say is we actually collaborate a lot with the PSBs. We really have found lots of ways to work together. So we're a big customer of BBC Studios, where Baby Reindeer was made by one of their production companies, or One Piece made in a company of ITV Studios. So we're working there together. We license content, we co-produce content. So I think we're all working together to ensure that it's a really vibrant ecosystem and that we can invest the right amount in fantastic storytelling.
Deborah?
I mean, again...
Walt Disney is Walt Disney. It's a great American company, but is it really, I mean, it needs those resources, doesn't it?
Well, first up, yes, the Walt Disney Company is headquartered in the US, but again, we've been here for a very, very long time, and I just want to talk about the fact that we really feel we are embedded in the UK. We have 30 million fans here. We have 25 stage shows in the past 5 years, not just in the West End. The Lion King, by the way, has been there for 25 years. We work with the PSBs in the traditional ways. We license content, but we're looking for ways to work more deeply and innovatively with them, like our ITVX and Disney Plus content rail deal. So, you know, I really do think that looking at it in that polarized way is not the right way to look at it. We feel like we're part of the ecosystem. We support that ecosystem. We use production companies within that ecosystem, and we will only all survive by the investment that makes the industry better, and we feel like we're doing that.
Right, but I'm reminded of something that Jeff Zucker said in his very interesting comments. Love the UK, love the talent, love the production fabric. It's fantastic. We can make a lot of shows here through all three media. But if you ask me to float a company here, I'd rather float it back in New York. The question is, one of the questions that has come up repeatedly is, where is the IP? Where does it reside? Eventually, ultimately, a lot of this money is going straight back to shareholders in the States, isn't it?
Well, look, again, I can go back to the perspective that I just talked about, and I can talk about, again, the Walt Disney Company.
Yep.
We have over 200,000 business partners, 20,000 business partners here in the UK.
Yep.
We work in all different sectors, and we're certainly increasing the value and contributing to the value of the creative industries here. And we're supporting the next generation of talent here as well, and we're investing in skills, and we're invested in training. We directly employ more than 3,000 people. So I believe that we contribute, and I believe that the ecosystem works very well together. And we're here, for the long term. We're super optimistic about the future, and that's why we also said last year that over the next 5 years, we'll be investing another $5 million into the sector. And I think that that's what's important to focus on.
Sophie, Sky set up by an Australian or Australian-American English entrepreneur, a UK company for a while, FTSE 100 company, now owned by Comcast. You have a platform, you have a lot of production facilities here, you have a lot of history in UK television as one of the original outsiders. When you listen to the debate that we've heard about the fabric, the production companies, the future of indies, and the tensions that exist with some of the streamers, what's your overall reflection on the place of a company like Sky?
Well, firstly, we are a British company, and we're a British success story, I'd say. We have over 20,000 people employed in the UK, and over half of those jobs are not based in London. So we are absolutely a British company trying to build something meaningful for our customers. When we think about our TV platforms, we see ourselves as additive to the PSBs, not a substitutor. We've worked with them since our inception to make sure that they have the right level of prominence and support on our platforms so our customers can get the best of PSB content, but also the best of all the content we've talked about here, and the range of Sky content, so not just drama, but sports, movies, entertainment, arts, news. Like we really think about the broader offering. And so when I listen to the conversation in the room today, I think, firstly, Sky is built on collaboration. We are built through partnerships. We only survive through the partnerships we have, and we need to be great partners, and we want to be great partners. And I think the discussions around prominence and collaboration, I think, are really exciting. For us as someone who thinks, what does a customer want? I also think, we are more than just a broadcaster, we're also a connectivity provider. We've invested huge amounts through our partnerships with BT and VMO2, and most recently CityFibre, in getting the country more connected, because all of the innovation we've talked about relies on all of the UK having a brilliant connectivity solution. So we see ourselves in the middle of a lot of these conversations in both the broadcasting industry and also in the connectivity industry, and we know that we need to make sure that the customer gets what they need.
Let's just talk briefly about the shows that people want to watch. Day of the Jackal was an amazing success for you, great show, very high production values, very expensive, I assume. What do you see as being the sorts of big, important dramas and shows that Sky has to produce, and is it changing?
Look, I think we've been developing Sky Originals for several years now. The Day of the Jackal has obviously been a huge success for us. We were delighted with its performance, but we also have had a number of shows that have appealed to different audiences as well. I'd point to Sweet Pea at the end of last year, or Lockerbie in January, or coming up we have the final season of Brassic, a brilliant comedy. We're here to serve all our audiences. This week we had the Sky Arts Awards, where we were celebrating all of the different genres of arts and bringing stories to life to our customers in a way that matters to all of them. So, I don't look at Day of the Jackal as the only thing we should be making. We should be making many things for many customers and working with partners to get the full range of content to them.
And ownership by Comcast, I mean, what do they want out of you above? They want you to be successful in the UK, obviously, but what more do they want out of you?
They want us to be successful, and they also want us to deliver on our customer promise, which has driven Sky forever, which is believe in better. The expectation is that we'll continue to innovate, we'll continue to deliver for customers. And I think one of the benefits we've had from the Comcast ownership has been on the connectivity side of the business. We launched most recently our best ever Wi-Fi connectivity, thanks to the global collaboration on the product side. So it's about getting the best of the product innovation and capability there and bringing it to our consumers in a way only Sky can.
Okay, well, let's just drill down slightly into the question of the UK's growth strategy, clusters, regions. We heard from Channel 5 about whether or not they were making programs, quite lower budget programs that are very, very important for regional producers that will provide the new talent with its first job at a lower level financially, but that level of production is very, very important to this country. What are you doing, and what are other companies on the panel doing in order to invest in that level and not just the super indie level?
Is that for me? Well, look, it's great to work as part of an ecosystem where we commission at lots of different levels. I do want to be clear that we do work with production companies right across the UK, for example, Key Street in Manchester, and we've talked about Walt Productions in Sheffield. We love filming all around the UK, whether it's Witcher in Northumberland or Bridgerton in Bath, and we're really keen to do that because audiences love to hear authentic stories from right across the UK, and there's creativity right across the UK who we want to work with. And I do think part of it is about training and investing in the next generation of talent. And when we do that, we're supporting over 1,000 folks a year in all sorts of training opportunities, whether it's behind the camera, finance, accounting, all of those sort of things, along with costumes, VFX, post, production management. And so part of our investment in the UK is trying to bring that next generation of talent. And I think that's going to be really important, not just for us, but for the whole industry.
Deb.
Again, sorry, a bit boring, but I might have to just echo a lot of what Anna just said, which is we're producing all over the UK, and we have been for decades and decades. We will go to find the stories, and they're not all really high-end rivals. We've got a lot of unscripted on the service as well. So essentially, same. We work with Matriarch Productions based in Leicester. We do an awful lot of things, as I've just said, out of Bristol, and so same thing.
Sophie, we've been hearing about some of these questions, regulatory questions about prominence, about the PSBs wanting not to be squeezed out in a world where people can get their programs from streamers and from YouTube. What do you think when you hear Ofcom and others sort of saying, well, we need to have greater prominence for PSBs on platforms like Sky?
Well, we give prominence to PSBs on our platform, and we give prominence on even our platforms that aren't regulated, like Sky Glass and Sky Stream. Honestly, we'd be happy to carry PSB content on our app, Sky Go, but the PSBs haven't all consistently wanted to do that. We'd love to have a deeper partnership and more conversations, but I've been really surprised by the consistent references to YouTube today. They are a really important platform. They serve quite a specific purpose at the moment, and I think when we hear the panel that we've just had, what are the right platforms going to be in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time? I'm not sure that the focus on YouTube is necessarily going to be like a silver bullet.
What do you mean? You mean it's not you think it's not going to be right for them to start putting their content on
No,
YouTube?
I think that, I don't think having I'm not sure that YouTube is the only solution to distributing PSB content.
Right. And talking of YouTube, one of the feelings I've got listening to a lot of this discussion over the couple of days has been, well, it feels that if you're a UK PSB, you're faced with the US giants and they seem very intimidating, but YouTube is an entirely new, it's a newish medium. Or the use of it by production companies. Are people going to carry on paying 70 quid a month for Sky when so much content is now available on YouTube?
I think customers will have absolute free will, obviously, and will decide what they want to do based on what's in front of them. And what we see is that customers really value the content we provide, the connectivity we provide, and the platform and experience that we give them. When you have Sky Glass, for example, on a Sky broadband connection, you're going to get not just access to all of the content, but curated in a way that works for you. And our job is to make sure that we keep innovating and keep delivering an experience that customers think is good value for money. And that's the challenge. That's why Sky is an innovation engine, because every day we wake up and we think, how do we make sure that we're building something that customers do want to pay for? And I think we've done a great job. There's a lot more, I'm sure, to come. But yeah, I think that's absolutely the job and the mission of the Sky team.
Deborah, we've heard a lot about subscription platforms. Advertising is quite important, and it's obviously been very important for the public service broadcasters in this country. Just give us a perspective on the UK advertising market and your role in it, but also how it's developing in terms of what is called television advertising.
Yeah, so I think, a lot of this conference is focused on how do we grow and how do we collaborate. And for the commercial PSBs, backbone of the business is the advertising business, right? And so it's been touched on a couple of times, but I think the reality is that, everyone in the television advertising business, in the quality, long-form, regulated advertising business, I think we need to work together, whether that's Disney Plus or our linear channels, which are actually sold by Sky, or Channel 4 and ITV, to really get people to focus back on how do we actually grow this pie. Because at the moment, I think that the commercial PSBs have done an incredible job of reimagining their business and, launching their BVOD services, which are attracting great advertising dollars and great growth, but it's not making up for linear declines. And the reality is that we need to be a lot more vocal and a lot more collaborative about bringing more growth back into this area. If you look at the growth, everybody knows the size and the scale of the advertising budgets that are going into social, YouTube, retail advertising, that they dwarf really, certainly the growth and the size of the money that's in the advertising, long-form television advertising business. And now the beauty of this is not only do we have the most high-quality environments with advertising that's actually regulated and checked, our platforms are trusted, we behave responsibly, and by the way, we can offer all of the addressable solutions now that have really driven this exponential growth in digital.
When we've heard a lot about collaboration, can you collaborate with others?
I think we can certainly work together. I saw Lindsay from the brilliant Think Box earlier. We certainly work together. I'm on panels with Channel 4, with Kelly at ITV, with Raz at Channel 4, and also with Sky. And we're coming together and talking about really promoting the value of this as an industry and business. There's been a lot of talk about potential collaboration with the commercial PSBs. That's not my domain to discuss, but I really do think that over time, we've just got to grow this business again, because it is the backbone.
Yeah, we announced our collaboration with the PSBs on the Universal Ads platform to create a platform that means that we can appeal to small and medium-sized advertisers. Sky is a top 10 advertiser. I sit through many presentations by tech companies that say you don't need to advertise anywhere but our platform, and we can manage the service for you end to end. Like that's what some of the advertisers in the market are hearing. And actually, when you advertise on TV, all of the studies demonstrate the benefits to brand and business value. We know that. But we need to, I think, work together to make sure that we give the solutions to advertisers that they need to keep money in the ecosystem that is funding the content in this country.
Yeah, I think it's like Caroline said earlier, obviously we compete, but together we need to grow as a whole. And I think that that's super important and perhaps not discussed as much, considering it is so important for the commercial PSBs.
Okay, I'm going to ask quickly different members of the panel. We've heard about collaboration. Give us an example of collaborations that you really think that your company is making, that you really think is improving the general ecosystem in the UK. Anyone can go first?
I think I've touched on most of the points. I think the collaboration around training is really important. Been really exciting over the last couple of days to hear about all the new types of creativity coming out of the UK, or the new creators and so on. We've talked about innovations like AI, and I think working together to ensure we get the right skills and capabilities going forward is really, really essential. And at the end of the day, for me, growth is sort of the outcome. The inputs are great storytelling, creativity, democratizing where stories come from. And I think if we start with that, we will continue to grow.
Okay, Sophie?
Look, we've talked about a lot of the collaborations we've done, in particular around advertising and our platforms. I'd also just talk about sport. Last week we published our report on the role of Sky in women's sport, and of all broadcasters in women's sport, and how we can really continue to invest to build that, because that has benefits not just for the sports industry, but also just for communities, women, girls falling out of sport. There's so much impact we can have as a company through collaboration.
Yeah, that's incredible. I would point to many of the things that we've discussed, but also what I really want to say is that we want to partner with the local ecosystem. We want a vibrant ecosystem. We don't want to, we want to be...
Sorry, why do you want it?
Because
it's a good thing, or it's actually really useful for you, or actually profitable for you?
I'll point to the recent collaboration that we did with ITVX. So that's a really, really current example, and it's an innovative way where we're saying, look, great British content, great global content that appeals to diverse audiences, showcased on one another's platforms where we have complementary audiences, branded rails, brand attribution on shows, links to collection pages. We do want, and that is full evidence of how we want to collaborate. We are very open for business because we feel like a healthy local ecosystem. And remember, we've been here for 75 years, so
sorry,
I think that's
what was the first thing you did 75 years ago?
We put...
I know you weren't around at the time.
No.
Not even I was around at the time.
It was actually Mickey's gala premiere, and it aired on the BBC.
Excellent.
I did want to add that we're also really committed to working with all the brilliant production companies in the UK and collaborating with them. We're great believers in quality, long-form storytelling, and the talent in the room, I know it's been said, is just fantastic. And I think one thing I'd say about us at Netflix is we are committed. We are committed to the UK for the long term, and I hope that is reassuring for the UK production sector.
Okay. Well, Sophie mentioned grassroots sport and the importance of women's sport and the growth of football. If only we had somebody...
Good segue.
A representative somehow of those great values who could talk to us. Oh, I think we do. So I'm going to hand over to Serena Weidman, who I know you've been waiting for, and just thank the panel.
Thank you.